So, yes, we know CPS is a whole, you know, thing. But a lot of times in these videos, they fail in these kids. And as a parent, I'm pretty sure if you've watched these videos, these crime stories, you'd be like, you know, what happened? Like, seriously, like, CPS will come out and I just don't understand. I don't work for CPS. I don't, it's just crazy. When you as an individual report, CPS supposed to go in and investigate. Now, when they go in and investigate, one, CPS, please do not question the child in front of the perpetrator. And these kids, you have to understand, yes, these kids be lying. Some of them have temper tantrum. But at the end of the day, be able to use your discernment or just your observation techniques or body language reading. Read these kids' body language. Like, come on, like, it's not that hard. If you're going to go out and make a visit, be up and ready. Be on your A game. Same thing with officers. You guys need to be trained on how to read body languages, what is off, what is not off, and stop questioning these kids in front of the perpetrators. Like, first of all, I don't know if it's old or new or they changed, but seriously, CPS, stop informing these people when you're coming to do a visit. I don't know if it's an old thing or it's still going on, but don't tell these people that, hey, we're coming on Tuesday, we're coming Wednesday. You're giving these people prep time to clean up, to do what they need to do, and whatever the case. I'm so tired of hearing this in a lot of cases where CPS informs them or they get a tip off and, oh, we're coming. Just pop up. You pop up, you'll see. Like, come on. It's a lot of failure to these kids, and it looks like, oh, we're here to help them, but you're really not sometimes. And state to state is different. I do understand that. State to state laws are different when it comes to child protective services and all type of stuff. But come on, it's a lot of cases where these kids are just being neglected. They're being overlooked. If a child told you that they don't want to, and here's a prime example of, I'm not just speaking on these cases, I'm speaking on a situation that actually happened. I'm not going to go into details too much. Hey, good morning. So, I don't know. You guys know I'm not a big video maker. For some reason, I cannot get videos down pat. Editing, that stuff, my kids are better than I am. But anyway, I wanted to make this video in regards to, so I'm a big person when it comes, like, I'm a big lover of crime TV, ID. Most of you guys know ID. If you got cable, I love crime stories, the truth. Most of them are really true stuff. So anyway, I do love a good podcast. It's so funny that I actually drive 10 hours listening to crime podcasts in one trip. So yes, I love podcasts. There's this one podcaster, Daniel Kirsty from England, that I absolutely love. There's others that I love, like Rotten Mango and those type of podcasts. So I've been watching these podcasts, and they're from all around the countries and different places. Now, here's the thing. For someone who works with children and whatnot, some of these podcasts are not for the faint. Like, literally, I'm going to tell you, it's not for the faint of stomachs. It does talk about a lot of essaying, victim. It's a lot. If you've watched Jeffrey Dahmer, some of these are just beyond that. If you thought Jeffrey Dahmer was disgusting, you will literally be disgusted by some of these perpetrators. They're beyond towards children. So anyways, to go into what I was talking about. So apparently every time when I listen to these podcasts, and I'm not, I'm not coming for anyone, not coming for an individual, but I'm just saying as a whole, a lot of times it seems like a lot of kids are being abused, say all type of stuff, and then there's mandated reporters, but we are here to mandated report, and when you do mandate and report, it just you turn it over to the authorities or CPS, and these kids are being let down. A lot of times these cases are talking about how CPS comes in. Yes, we understand you do have a workload. Yes, we're not attacking. So basically, I was told of a child that was being abused. I didn't see it, but a child of a child reported it to the other child and whatever. Okay, there was a text message came through, and I witnessed the child run into the another person's house. So apparently, with this, the child was running from the perpetrator. So the child ran to my house. Let's just say that. And they were running from the perpetrator. What took place, I don't know, but the child was famine. The child was just drained, face red, crying, pretty much looking like a child that was scared, like someone's chasing her, she's trying to escape, like something you see out of a movie. Okay, so the child comes in. The perpetrator didn't follow her into the house, but the child ran from the house to my house. At this point, a few minutes later, the perpetrator comes to my door. At this time, I was pretty much sitting in the car, and I kind of hid myself. I told the girls, close the door. Don't open it, no matter there's going to be a big noise. So at this particular time, we asked the victim, which is the child, do you want to call the police? And she said yes. So I took it on and I called 911. 911 comes out, and at this time the mother had already left. She stopped or whatever. She did see me, whatever. So at this particular time, I went in the house, checked on the girls, whatever the case might be. I got back outside. I called the 911 came. And when 911 came out, at this particular time, I think I was inside the house. 911 comes to my door and said, at this time, the child was still in the house. She was aware of 911 actually coming. And, she wasn't held against her will. She literally did not want to get out my house. Like, not that I was insinuating for her to get out, but she did not want to leave. She didn't want to go back to the perpetrator. So apparently, the cop comes to the house. Oh, I know you're trying to do a good deed, but you can't keep her here, away from her mother. So I'm like, officer, the mother is the perpetrator, and I'm not keeping the child away from no one. The child, I'm not holding the child back. So at that moment, the officer was like, oh, you can't keep her in here against her mother. And I'm like, officer, the mother is the perpetrator while she ran here. So the officer was like, oh, I understand you're trying to do a good deed, but you can't keep her. I'm like, sorry, I'm not. Once again, I'm not keeping. At this point, I was just so irritated by the officer. Like, your lack of officing is just, it's just really like, I shouldn't have to tell you how to do your job. This is part of your job as well. Like, you're here to protect. So I told the officer, I said, officer, I'm not keeping the child against her mother. The child ran over here as a safe place. And that was that. So I said to the officer, disregard if it was the mother, the father, a stranger. If somebody's running from a perpetrator and they're finding safety in your place, or in an area, am I supposed to just pull her and drag her out of the place and turn her over to the perpetrator? So if anything happened to that child or anybody, anything, and she ended up getting killed or hurt severely, what sense did that make? So, that's like somebody running from a killer and banging on your door. Help me. And you just there, don't even call 911. You don't help. That's the same factor. So the officer was just basically saying, yeah, you're supposed to turn her over to. I said, well, I'm looking at them like, at this point, I wanted to have their badge. I wanted to have their supervisor name at this point. So apparently, they asked her to come out, talk with her. Unfortunately, and it also goes to say the demographic region, because when you're in a certain area, they say, oh, just another day in the hood, or I swear they really don't take too much heed in. This is normal. Hood bang, hood stuff, hood shit. And they really just roll it off their shoulders. They really do. And yes, I'm going to say these were two Caucasian officers. Not that really the race matters, but I felt like that's what it was. Even though the child was Caucasian as well. But they don't see that. They see the fact that we're in a demographic area that is considered poverty or whatever. So apparently, the officers took the child out and brought them over to speak in front of the yard of the child's house with the mother. The mom's irate to the point where she's elevated to 12. The child and the mom arguing back and forth. So at this point, I'm done. So I'm still outside, which I did my part. I called the officers. It's in their hands. So at this point, I still was outside, standing by my car, being nosy. I'm hearing the argument going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I'm just like, the way the argument was just so massive that it was just like, was there officers out there? Like, seriously, y'all really doing this in front of the officer? Like, and the officer just there is listening, and I'm just like, it's entertainment. I might as well should have gave them some popcorn, literally. So then he's passing by, and it's not de-escalating. The situation is not de-escalating. You're re-traumatizing the child that's already going through abuse for maybe more than a year. Actually, more than a daggone year. But anyway, whatever, beyond the point. So the officer walked past me, and I'm like, officer, you need to call CPS. At this point, CPS needs to come out. Because, yes, you're here for the violence not to happen, but you need CPS. This is a case for CPS. CPS is too late for CPS to come out. I said, no, I work. I know the programs in the DCF. CPS have on-call personnel. It sucks, but there's people that still works overnight. If they call them, they're on call or whatever the case might be. So he telling me bullshit like I don't know the system. So I'm like, oh my God. Like, it's bad enough that these cops don't be trained. They're not trained in mental health because it's too many. And for y'all to have, I don't know if y'all got money in the police department, but whatever. Y'all to reroute y'all money to mental health training, tactical force training, and just training. It's simple, common sense training, like, you know what I mean? But then again, some of these officers don't want to do paperwork. Yes, paperwork, and I ain't gonna lie, it seems like paperwork be a lot, but mainly when it comes to the male officers, they tend to not want to do paperwork. Females, you'll get some that don't want to do the paperwork. It's time consuming. Yes, it is. Trust me, I know. I've had to deal with paperwork. But come on, at the end of the day, very few officers that I do find that be like on that real, Those two tonight, talking about CPS not gonna come out. So basically, honestly, to tell you the truth, they really didn't resolve the issue. They did diffuse the child was, I think the child